I'd like to call this meeting of the Town of Sheffield Select Board to order on December 6, 2022. We want to let you know that this meeting is being recorded. You may do so after informing the chair, and thank you again, CTSB, for recording this meeting for us. The first item of business is approval of meeting minutes.
I'll make a motion that we approve the minutes from October 19th, 2022, November 3rd, 2022 with the Ashley Falls Historic District.
I'll second that.
Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. Our next item is discussion action regarding designer review committee for the highway garage. I don't know, Rhonda, whether you would like to start the discussion on this, or you would like Bob to, or?
Doesn't matter. Go ahead.
I was
Ladies
just
first.
So the designer review committee will be the committee who will decide the design and work with the designer that we've chosen, Weston and Sampson, to come up with the actual design for the highway garage that will be presented to voters. So you talked about that at your working meeting, and it was the consensus of the board. I'm not sure if you took a vote, but there was they did take a vote. So you voted that you three would serve as the designer review committee with both Dave and myself to be advisors to the committee. Dave Ruat, the highway superintendent. So this is a ratification in public of that vote.
Bob, do you want to add anything to that?
No, I have nothing to add.
Nadine?
No, I feel comfortable with that decision.
These will be open meetings. The public can provide input.
Correct.
All right, so I guess I'll make a motion that we ratify the action that we have previously taken.
So moved. Second. Sorry.
Any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
And again, we thank all of those who served on the designer selection committee. It went very quickly, and they were very efficient in their business. The next item we have is discussion possible action regarding the forestry plan on the highway garage site. Bob, would you like to take this?
Well, I'll let Mr. Kelly start off with his plan.
So this is Jim Kelly from Sheffield.
Yes. 1899 Town Road.
Thank you, Jim.
I have 4 copies. This is a bid on the trees that are to be cut and the trees that are to be removed so that there's a site for the highway to garage to put in. I've been working with the original map that Foresight did, where they located wetlands and buffers, as well as flagging that I'm assuming they put out there, or someone put out that pink flagging.
Yep.
They have, as you see on your last page, I took their preliminary plan and then highlighted in pink where I went around and measured that with my hand compass and pacing and came to within 5 feet by the time I got done, so I say it's reasonably good. The key would be to think that, do we have, is there going to be more room? Do you need more room? Is it adequate where it is? And those are, I don't know if we're too early, if you're still going to be looking at design and location and staking out building sites and driveway sites, because the original sketch on that one has a curved driveway going in, yet the flags make it pretty much of a straight shot going in off of Berkshire School Road. So what I did was I went out and within that pink area, I tallied all the trees that were saleable. I have written up in the perspective for the bid the total volume of trees that are now marked for sale or to be removed in the developed area. There are 2 acres in that area. That's where the highway garage, salt shed, and driveway are. and the remaining property is under forest management, so that the Forest Cutting Practices Act applies to all non-conversion sections. So
What does that mean?
and so you get it,
Non-conversion.
in order to cut trees in Massachusetts, you have to have approval of either the Conservation Commission or the Department of Conservation and Recreation,
A
DCR.
forest cutting plan?
And they will only approve it if you're leaving it as a forest. So the section that's not going to be developed will stay as a forest, and then we can do it under a cutting plan. By doing it under a cutting plan, we're allowed, there's no buffers, we're allowed to cut up the edges of wetlands, we're allowed to cut into wetlands if we want to harvest in the wetlands. The Endangered Species Act identified one species, and that's the bur oak out there. And we're all set with that right now. There's, we've got trees that were marked when we did the town forest celebration, and there's no bur oaks located in the area that's going to be converted to the town garage and salt shed. When we look at selling these trees, the prospective bidders are going to want to know what they're bidding on. So part of it is, there's currently a highway cut on the far eastern edge of the parcel. There's a driveway entrance there. I think it was used by previous owners or somebody to go in that way. And that was when we did the cutting plan as part of the town forest celebration, that was going to be the landing. I have done sales where we've said, you will create a new driveway entrance. You will put down road fabric. You will add gravel. So that comes back again to, does the board want the logger to do that? Does the board want to have whoever is putting in the driveway to put the driveway in and then allow the logger to use that for tractor trailer trucks, which will get the best value for our trees coming off, because they can then ship them and get a higher price. Current estimates are that it would be somewhere between $100 and $125 per 1,000 board feet for the white pine. And the other species are going to be real mixed bag, and the volumes are so low on those. So yeah, it's market conditions. Right now, the logger I've got working down in Ashley Falls says he can sell pine, great, and he can sell white ash, and everything else is bad. And so that's primarily is going to be, the value is going to be in the white pine. So you can look at the volume sheet, the summary, and the second page, and that shows you how many board feet of white pine. And you can safely say that if a logger were to go in there on a typical logging job where the tops get left, and people think it's a mess, but it's the building block of soil for all the fungi and insects and birds and everything up, they would be paying that price. I did bring one logger out and look at it, and that's why in the bid perspective, I have, what are we going to do with the tops in the developed area? I said, would you chip it? And he said, well, I would, if I'm chipping it, I'm charging for it. And I said, if we created a spot elsewhere on the property, would you? And he said, yeah, I could very easily. Then I'd come out with my forwarder, bring logs out, grab the debris, and take that back and get rid of it. So again, it comes back to what the board is looking for in the way of how clean that site's going to be, who's going to stump it. My experience has been such that if I were to go to a typical land clearer and say, I need 2 acres cleared, they'd say 10 grand. So in this case, the operator that I did talk to would, if he were able to take the tops and deposit them elsewhere on the site, I would think he would not charge anything for doing that. But it does come back to, again, the driveway entrance landing. He pointed out that if you look at the far eastern portion, the original wetlands map here shows that there is some spots there close to the road. We can get a permit to do wetland crossings. That's not a problem for the cutting plan. It would change his production, he says, because if we have that straight driveway in there and I can have a tractor trailer truck in there, I can move this product quick, I can be more efficient, and therefore I can pay more. And he's only one, But I know that there are several operators that are looking, as he said, pine is hot right now. So it's some of the best prices I've seen in quite a while. And then the trees are good pine trees. So we should realize a net profit. I'm thinking, depending upon the conditions you want to put in there, something over 10 grand, so.
I think we were probably looking at using the designer to set the driveway and the materials for the driveway. So what I was looking basically from my perspective, I don't know what the board is thinking. My perspective was just the logging and maybe the stumping and grinding, but that also can be left to the construction.
Yeah,
of
the
site.
stumping raises a real, so like,
Right.
what are you gonna do with the stumps? They can bring in an excavator, they can dig them up, and now are we taking tractor trailer trucks off? Where are they going? And if they're being ground somewhere, it's certainly feasible and can be done, but it changes it. I think I would be surprised then if we might break even. And it also comes back to whoever's doing the typical site work, they're usually used to dealing with stumps. So I don't think that would.
And you don't think we could use that driveway as the header to remove the logs? They would have to bring them out, of course, to the roadway, but.
Right. So if the problem at the current planned driveway entrance is that you've got a curb, you've got sidewalk, and we'd have to address how we'd handle that. The other one is already set. It's already got the curb comes down, the sidewalk gets level, and you just can drive in.
Can you show us that on your map? I think I know right where you are. It's right next to the blue house.
Correct.
Yeah. We just have to be extremely careful of all of the wetland areas.
Right. It's right there.
It's right at, can you just show me, Rhonda? Yeah, I'm good where it is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's where I thought it
Yeah,
was.
it's where I thought it is. Yeah,
Yeah, I know where it is.
Yeah.
It's the only spot that has the drop down of the sidewalk.
yeah.
Right.
For a pre-existing.
Right on the boundary, essentially. That's the
Well, we're
problem.
gonna have to put a curb cut in there anyway.
Sure,
So,
right.
Yep.
I mean,
Yeah.
I don't see adding the curb cut or this stage to not be invasive to not be worried about wetlands in the other direction. So,
We just have to get this stuff out without, we just have to get the trees out and everything else out without violating any of the wetland areas.
Right. Right.
And this little
Well,
narrow driveway was designed, and you can see that there's stuff pretty close to that driveway on either side.
So we're allowed to, under the Forest Cutting Practices Act, we can travel across that wetland and get material out.
So using that
trees in the
other,
wetland.
so using that other entrance
Right, we can do that.
Would probably be quicker.
would probably be faster.
Yeah.
You may have a better staging area for cutting the trees,
Yeah.
putting them, and then trying to haul everything out. I don't know where we could put all the tops. I haven't walked that site since we did kind of originally.
Well, there's plenty, haven't been familiar with it, I did your forest stewardship plan on it. There's plenty of sites that are not in wetlands that could be opened up, and then this material breaks down, especially.
Oh, yeah.
There's
there's plenty of room.
of property in there that's
Yeah.
not in wetlands or
yeah.
sensitive that we can put the tops and the grinds.
Right, and if they're off back behind the salt shed areas, like this
And
shown
there's
to
a
me,
lot of area back there.
there's sort of a racetrack that goes around, and within the center of that, there's certainly, it would not be visible to anyone except probably the highway crew that went in there.
No, there's plenty of room to put the grindings and the,
So if we were planning on that, then I would have marked additional trees to create that space. And then we'd have a slight volume increase, but then it would also allow, it's sort of, loggers are loggers, they're not construction guys.
Right.
So they do what they do well and pay for it, and then you have someone that goes in and does the driveway, the site development, they do that, but you don't have Wilkinson do your logging, you don't have a logger do your driveway.
Excavation work, right?
I'm wondering if there's, I'm not trying to stall this, my comment may come off that way, but I'm wondering if there is any reason why we should be consulting with our designer firm before this cutting plan is executed, in case they have certain requirements as to how they would want to see the site prepped. So we don't do something ahead of time when they would have suggested a different route. I'm just bringing it up.
I don't foresee in this part having any problems. They may want to expand an area, they may want to change an area, but this is basically most of it without defining the edges and defining the driveway as far as materials and stuff. This is basically roughing out the area. Then I'm sure they may want to, tweak something or expand one spot, come back on another. It could be moved around, but this is the roughing out. This isn't the cabinetry type work that's being done. This is just the rough plan. This is the start.
And if we have the bidder submit a price per 1,000 board feet that he's paying, to add another margin, edge, or spot, it happens all the time in cutting plans. So if we file the cutting plan, the actual work can be defined almost the moment before the contract's signed, and then in that, it can be allowed for modification by the board or by the design firm that would come back and say, oh, no, we need another 2 feet. So, all right, that tree and that tree's got to go. I'll measure the volume here. There's.
The other thing that we have talked about before, and I don't know if Nadine was on the board during those years, we talked about the DEP recommending that each town have a site where they could put debris in case there was a major storm. And looking at this map, and particularly, this area where the salt shed would go, and you're talking about putting debris here, I'm wondering if it would be worth it to talk with Dave a bit to see whether some of this, especially since it's not in the wetlands, maybe should additionally be cleared for a debris, spot. So we're satisfying. We haven't had a storm in a long time, but at some points we have had debris and there's no place to put it. So that would be my other comment on whether it makes sense if they're going in to consider that area over there.
I definitely think that would be a good purpose, not only for the logging aspect, but down the road for the highway garage aspect, to have an area behind the salt shed where they could use for debris, like, brush.
So that can fill up quickly.
I'm sorry?
An area like that can fill up quickly if we have a major storm, but you'll probably also find, like, I've had tree crews, I say, yeah, just dump it there, and it's now creating soil on my property, so.
Yeah, so part of it is a controlled dump,
Right.
so we don't dump where we're going to have to move.
Yeah.
And if we do feel that there is some purpose to having a place for debris management, let's take care of it potentially now, rather than having to deal with it later. The trucks will be in there, they'll be cutting.
So, yeah, you tell me how big an area, and I'll go in there and mark it out.
I think
and
that's
include that in the
conversation
area
with
that's
Dave,
not
he
gonna be
knows this,
within the
I don't
forest.
think we know it at all.
Yeah, I think we should ask Dave for input on that. As I'm looking at this invitation to bid, I'm questioning that the bids would be submitted to Jim. Is that appropriate, Elizabeth?
They probably should be submitted to the town.
Okay.
And then the performance deposit, you don't want to do yourself.
Well, typically I hold it only because for most operators, I represent a sort of middle party between a property owner and the logger. And I recognize that what the logger has done is either sufficient or not sufficient, and sometimes there are emotions get involved with landowners, but it's however you want to do that.
Well, I was just asking because I think, because it is a municipality, I think
I agree.
we're gonna have to go through the normal bid process. We're not just a homeowner.
Right.
We have a few more rules to
Yeah.
follow, so I think that area needs to be changed.
And also the same with, you can look at dates too.
Yeah.
I noticed that the 23rd is a holiday. But again, I just wanted to put something in there.
Yeah, no.
And also, you know, the original one of December 17th is now maybe open because we don't know how big an area we're gonna,
Yeah, Dave could probably, he might be able to resolve that this week. He usually is very quick on everything. And Jim, where is your fee on this? I think I read it, but I'm not quite seeing it right now.
I'm sorry, I missed it.
Where is your fee? That should be stated in here.
My fee?
So, yeah.
Oh, it was in that proposal letter that I
Oh,
submitted.
okay, so we have that.
This isn't part of
Okay,
his.
no, I just wanted to make sure Jim is covered. Okay. There's sometimes so much
Does the town
paper.
want to accept them via email and text, as it seems like more and more loggers are doing that?
No, bid packages
All
have to be
hand,
done
okay.
Yeah,
by
yeah.
paper.
Okay.
Can you send this to me electronically and then I can make the changes?
Yes.
You've got a great start, which is
Yep.
really appreciated.
Okay.
And then I can go in and make
And then up top, we're going to not burn, not chip, but just remove to a cleared area, either off-site or on-site. If they choose to take it off-site, we don't have a complaint.
Right, exactly. If they want it, they can have it.
All right. So may they or must they construct a new landing, or may they not construct a new landing other than that site?
I don't think there'd be any problem constructing a new landing. That's pretty temporary and
Right.
not overly intrusive.
Right, the one logger I did who actually cut on my property, full disclosure, and currently is there, put down the large white limestone stones in there, and his tractor trailer trucks are able to back in, so he may say, if it's agreeable with you, I'll make a curb so we can get up on the curb and get in there, because we know we're gonna take the sidewalk apart anyhow. And it's better for me to put in that and at my expense than go to that little postage stamp of a landing over there. And then we would line it right up. In a sense, the material would be lost once the person comes in to really bulldoze out and put the
Right.
driveway in. But, I mean, he's gonna lose the material left on my property too.
So, Jim, can they also put the landing area in a wetlands area?
Not in a wetlands. no.
Okay, so they have to, okay.
Right.
The other thing I like.
Well, actually, you might be able to.
I don't know
we don't
that
need
much,
to.
I don't know that part of the
Yeah.
Wetlands Protection Act. I'm
It's
just
up to the state
asking.
forester. So
Okay.
when you file a cutting plan, everything under the cutting plan is under his
Right, I know
direction,
that.
And he takes over for Concom,
Right,
and Concom can say, we don't think the state forester is doing it right, but that's all they can say. They can't go after the owner of the property.
no,
So it's his ruling that counts, and then there can be an appeal to DEP.
okay. The other thing, if you put down the white stone,
Yeah.
then you're not dragging all that debris out, so we're not looking at a construction issue.
Right, in either site, there would be stone, either in the
Yeah.
current curb cut or where the new driveway is, there would be stone put in so that there's not, and it would be put in the contract that the road must be maintained clean, just
Right.
in case some French Canadian comes in and gets off the stones and goes out. So they have to shovel it off and,
Well, we spent a lot of time with the Conservation Commission. I know that construction and keeping dirt and soil on the site is important, so I just really would prefer not to
Right.
get ourselves into any issues. Okay, so what are we doing next? We want to see this again after Rhonda spiffs it
Yeah,
up?
Rhonda's gonna spiff it up, Dave's gonna tell us what more he thinks should be
Okay.
done, and then we can can finish
Okay.
it up and vote.
Who's got the lead with Dave? Is it Jim? Is it Rhonda? Is it,
I will get Dave in touch with Jim.
Right.
Okay.
And I'll draw up, as we did the last time, a cutting plan, because the timetable starts with that. So I'll prepare the notices to abutters and the cutting plan, and that will go to the state, and the notices to abutters simply state that within a 10-day period or later than that, there will be harvesting on this property. And it can happen anytime after that, but they've been notified. And then the next step with the cutting plan is it takes the state forester and he does the natural heritage checks and the other checks and then comes back. And then we can again modify that. I've done multiple amendments to cutting plans with some clients, so.
and then
It gets
after?
the timetable going
Yeah,
so that.
and then can the bids go out, the bid packet go out while the state forester is reviewing the cutting plan? Okay, so those
They can
can,
go out after he's approved the cutting plan.
I'm just worried about time here.
Right.
So I'm just wondering,
The biggest limit to the bids is knowing what jobs they are required to do or not do. So in this case, we've
Okay.
got a lot of that lined up. We know that they can leave debris there as long as it's out of the 2-acre site.
Yeah.
And that they're permitted to do a new landing if they want, or they can use the existing curb cut if they want. And the landing has to be constructed to my standards of stones and such that debris and dirt won't go onto Berkshire School Road. We've got the volume, but we'll state in there that, if additional cutting may be done, so please state your price per 1,000 on the white pine. I think that, so the bids could go out reasonably soon.
okay, so you would not wait for the state forester to issue the forest cutting plan approval?
And the only nice thing about that is that it lets the operator know that he can start cutting darn quick.
So he's gonna be working on it and we're gonna be working on it.
We'll just see what happens.
Yeah,
Okay.
on the last one, Rhonda was the signee, so I don't know if that needs approval of the board for you to sign the cutting plan, or the town administrator, you signed it anyhow, so.
So why don't you take that vote tonight?
Okay, does somebody want to make a
Yeah, I'll make a
motion?
motion that we authorize our town administrator to sign the cutting plan on behalf of the town.
Second.
Okay, and did we already vote at a previous time for us to issue this bid? I'm just trying to figure out where we are in this whole process.
The bid's not ready to go yet. Rhonda's gonna do some work on it.
Oh, okay,
We have to
so,
finalize with
But it's
Dave.
reasonably close. I mean, I
It's
could,
close.
okay.
if we're just gonna be adding, I have no idea, half acre? Or are we adding less than that for debris?
I don't have any idea.
That would, if it
Okay, so
gets-
we'll do that later
If it
then.
gets more than half an acre, then probably we need to do some more, because I got 57,000 board feet off the 2 acres. So it does kick it up, and it also changes the application of the cutting plan, because again, here's another section that won't be going back to forest.
Okay, well,
Okay, so we have a motion to have Rhonda sign the cutting plan.
Yeah, and if you're thinking about, if there's a major disaster and you're cutting a lot of trees in town, cutting a few more to make the whole can be delayed till then.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, so we have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Thank you very much, Jim. This has been a big help, and I know we're going to need your help as we go forward on this. All right. Thank you. So the next item is discussion action regarding the right of first refusal for property on Silver Street. Rhonda, please.
I have a letter from Andrew West on Silver Street and Ann Brassard, who currently have property in Chapter 61A, and they would like to pull I think it's 2 acres, is it? No.
2.370.
There you go, 2.370 acres out of that and sell it to an abutter on the property. And so because it's coming out of 61A, the town has the right of first refusal.
So do we have any reason to
I see no reason.
buy that piece of land?
For the town to have interest in that parcel,
Yeah.
no.
Well, it doesn't have frontage access.
No, there's
You know, if it
no,
had frontage access, then could potentially be a buildable lot. But it doesn't, from what I could see, have frontage. So would
It's-
someone like to make a motion on this?
So I'll make a motion that we, I don't know, am I foregoing our right of first refusal and allowing this?
Sure.
Yeah. So the town will will refuse its right of first refusal and allow this purchase of this property to go through.
second.
Any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
So our next item is the final review of the newly revised board handbook. Did everybody have a chance to look at that, or is this something we need to postpone again?
No, I'm
I'm fine with
perfectly
it.
okay with making a motion to go ahead and approve it as we have seen it.
Thank
Yep.
you. That's a second.
Yes.
Is there any further discussion? Good night, Jim. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you. And could we see that, I'd like to make sure that somehow that gets to every member. I'm not sure sometimes how it gets distributed, so we'll leave that in your good hands. Or maybe when we go to a meeting, we'll just take some with us. Okay, wonderful. All right. Our next item is final approval of the personnel policy manual.
I'm going to ask you to table that until the 19th.
So we'll look at that on the 19th. The next item is discussion possible action regarding the police traffic control unit. I know I went over that. You see my comments, as always. I don't know if anyone else had any comments.
No, I figured the chief probably knew what he was writing, so I didn't really do a lot of editing. It made perfect sense to me.
I didn't have any problems with it either.
So decide what you want to do.
Well, if we are going to, I feel that you went through and did all this work. It's worth us taking time to check. I saw, several corrections. I did not get through the whole thing. And most of it made sense. Most of it was minor.
It is
but I-
actually minor. It's really more clarifying.
Right.
Yeah. Do you want to hold off on this? Do you want to give it to
Well, I
the
feel we
chief and
should.
say, do what you want with it?
I
accept
feel we
what you
should
want?
give your corrections and edits consideration. So,
And I didn't have a chance today to review them.
I know I was late on
Yeah,
everything.
so if we could just postpone this to the next meeting,
Next meeting.
maybe submit it to Eric with the changes so that
Yeah,
Eric
he's already
has-
got it.
Okay.
I submitted it
And
to
then,
him. so
as
he
long
will.
as he feels comfortable with it, and then you and I can make whatever changes we think.
Okay, so we'll table this to the 19th too. Next, we have a curb cut on Polikoff Road. Rhonda, please.
So you have an application for a curb cut on Polikoff Road. Right now, it's 0 Polikoff Road. He doesn't have a number. It's for Jonathan Habacker, and the work's going to be done by Lawns, Lots, and Landscaping. The highway superintendent and the police chief have visited the site and approved it. It looks like the chief is recommend removing the tree just south of the 318 mailbox. It obstructs the view coming out of the driveway, so we'll put that as a condition.
I think that should be a condition.
So I'll make a motion that we approve the curb cut of Jonathan Habacker with the one suggestion from the chief regarding the tree as a condition.
I'll second that.
Any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Thank you.
Do you have the
Next,
Let me see that.
we have a bid to be
Can we
awarded.
put that towards the end?
I'm sorry?
Can we move that to the end of the agenda?
The bid award?
Yes.
Okay, all right. So next, we have discussion, possible action regarding the Veterans Heritage Grant. I've got some letters I have to do on that, and I'm not prepared tonight.
Okay.
So can we move that also to 12:19? I think we're filling the agenda up pretty well. For 12:19, let's see. So the next one is discussion possible action regarding the digital equity grant, which came in on Friday after 5 o'clock. So it's pretty, it's due, let's see, when is this one due? There's a lot of grants going on right now. I think this one, I'm not sure if this one is due the 12th. It's a short leash, okay? And I don't know if you had a chance to read the information that was forwarded on this. It potentially looks like a good opportunity for the town to assess its digital equity problems, meaning both internet, access to computers, as well as training. I know the senior center gives training, but I'm not sure that everyone is aware of that. This is more of a planning process. There's consultants that if we were to get this grant would be made available to the town to choose from. And one of the final things is that MBI is using this program as kind of a forerunner to determine how it will spend money that has come from ARPA funds and also the Fed's infrastructure bills to use the money that the state has received in those areas. So this is kind of a precursor to see what bubbles up to the top and what the actual needs are. So I think that's about all I can necessarily answer at this moment, unless you have specific questions.
I think I'm just trying to figure out exactly what this grant is going to do for us.
Well, rather, Martin started with that broadband, okay, and it basically went nowhere.
Right.
And we've had the school has told us, 41% of the kids are on free lunch. And we know from school discussions that there are children who don't have adequate computers, adequate internet, adequate access. We also have suspicions that there's other people, including seniors, but we don't have the bandwidth to figure that out and do that on our own. Mm-hmm. This is a way to get people in to do that work for us by analyzing the data. This also, in this letter, ties in with what's going on with our charter cable TV license renewal. Mm-hmm. And I just see it as a set of extra arms and legs to provide us data working, with town people, with the school. Do we have digital inequities? And if so, what are they? And what programs can we use to solve those? I'm also interested in, since I've been bugging MBI for about a year on this whole stuff about what happens for towns that have broadband already, where do we share in the pot? I'm also interested in seeing if we can in some way influence that. So that's basically my motives. There's no match on this. I'm willing to take the lead on this and keep it out of everybody's hair as much as possible, okay? There's no accounting on this, which is where we always seem like on grants we spend most of our time is kind of trying to track the money, account it, and report it. And I don't even know if we'll get it.
So you're just looking for support for...
I'm looking for approval, and I'm looking to be able to send this in. I haven't quite finished it yet, but I'd like to have the right to have Rhonda review that and have the final stamp of approval. The application is attached. And there we let it go. Got plenty of things to do.
There is a lot going on. I'm just wondering if we can manage yet another grant right at this particular time, but it sort of sounds like it's not too time consuming.
I don't think it's going to be. I've spent time talking with the folks at BRPC who sent us out this alert, and they will be one of the approved consultants if we get this, and they know a lot about our town. We have a good working relationship with them.
Okay, well then I'll make a motion that we go ahead and support the grant request for municipal digital equity planning.
I'll second it.
Okay, so we have a motion and a second. Any further discussion?
The only thing I would say is that I'm not sure if this is going to fit any better than what we had attempted before with Martin. And I hope you get results for the effort that you put in. That's my only concern.
I hope so too, yeah. If this doesn't look like it's going to do anything for us, we can always turn down an award.
Right.
We've done it before. So, and then I will just work with Rhonda to finish the rest of the application. Okay, all right. Is there any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you very much. Okay, let's see, where are we now? This is now discussion, possible action regarding the street light on East Main. So, we have new information from our previous discussion regarding that street light, where certain residents were asked their opinion.
Correct.
Have I got that right? And we have information from a party that would like to have that light remain on for safety, and really spelled out some concerns
Yeah.
that caught my attention.
Yeah.
So what would the board like to do?
I would like to leave that street light on.
I'll second that.
Okay, so we're going to have that replaced. The light will remain on the pole, the new pole, and it will remain on. Okay, so we have a motion and a second to do that. Any further discussion?
No.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All right, number 13, we're going to skip over. So Rhonda, does that take us back to,
Yes.
or do you want me to do the grant update
No,
first?
we're ready. I'm ready.
Okay, so we're going to go back to the award bid for the EMS car and the generator.
So both of them were out to bid on the municipal bid site. The bids ended on Friday. So the generator, the bid was $825, and that was to Peter Person. And so I'm asking you to award that bid.
I'll make a motion that we award the bid to purchase the used generator for $825 to Peter Person.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
The EMS car is the one that's parked right out here, out back. And the high bid on that was $6,300. And that's going to a gentleman named Al Pieria.
I make a motion that we approve the sale of the EMS car.
Second.
I think that's great.
Get rid of it.
Very good.
Something else we don't have to plow around.
Yeah. Any other discussion?
No.
Otherwise, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, next item is just a grant update. I wanted to just quickly go over this. It's been an interesting time where things are coming together finally. I just want to let people know that at this time, the police body-worn cameras and the in-car cameras on the police cruisers are going to be installed. I think it's the 13th or the 12th of this month. John Shannon's all set, all the remote controls all set for the installation. The chief has done a good job. The stuff has finally shown up. So I think we will be the first, we'll finally get this grant done so we can close it out, but I think we may be the first town in Berkshire County that has both the body-worn cameras and the in-car cameras, which have been there for at least, 6 years, I think, 5 or 6 years? And I intend to let Heather Bello know, if that's okay, because nobody's talking about what's going on in South County. All right, and so that's going to be done. The second thing is our fourth round of shared streets and spaces, which got us the John Deere little tractor and the bike racks. It looks like Joe Wilkinson will be able to finish those within the next week or two, and we'll be able to close that grant out. In the meantime, we are going to be the recipients of BRPC received $200,000 in the Community Compact Regionalization Grant to upgrade permit eyes for both building and departments and Board of Health, and both of those upgrades will come to Sheffield, which is very positive. And also, we received a $200,000 community compact grant for our records management system, which I think is really very exciting. I haven't been this excited about a grant in a long time. So that's what I wanted to just give an update on. So let's go to board member items. Bob?
The only thing I would like to say is I was quite impressed with the town's response to the Christmas tree lighting in Ashley Falls. It was a little inclement, to say the least, and some of the hayride riders got quite wet, on especially the second round of hayrides. But everybody was in good spirits, and it was a lot of fun, even with the dampness. So I just think it was a great community event.
Wonderful, and thank you for doing the hay rides.
Rain or shine.
Nadine, how about you?
I don't have anything to share tonight.
I've got one thing. Rhonda?
Go ahead. I thought you were going to talk about the wishing tree.
Oh, shoot, that's
Go ahead,
right.
Nadine.
So sorry, I just flew right by my head.
It's been a long
I was
meeting.
going to mention that we do have the wishing tree downstairs for the gifts to the various town departments, and so the residents can stop in and pick up a little tag and bring in something in need of by one of our departments. It's loaded up with items, so please give away.
Be generous.
Be
Yes.
generous.
May we put that out in an email blast?
Sure, why not?
Why not?
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, absolutely. And they're very easy to pick off the tree. They almost jump into your hands. And you can look on the back and you can choose which one, do you want to favor the senior center with your gift, or you want to favor the highway department, et cetera, et cetera. They're all very, very worthy gifts. Rhonda, you sent me this today. I think we all got this today, the cannabis control, okay? It looks like the Cannabis Control Commission is about to start writing new regulations regarding the various provisions of the newly passed cannabis law. MMA has sent this out because they are very concerned that basically the cannabis law was more or less silent on the fate of the existing host community agreements, such as all of the ones we have in our town. And they are urging municipalities to put their 2 cents into the game before they start drafting. And our next meeting isn't to the 19th. So I'm willing to work on a letter this week and wonder if the board might support that with our town administrator having the final say on it.
Absolutely.
Yes, definitely.
Okay, so could I just get a motion on that?
I'll make a
We'll go.
motion that Renee draft a letter to the MMA regarding the,
No, Cannabis Control Commission.
excuse me, the Cannabis Control Commission on the new regulations proposed, and our town administrator to work with her to get it completed.
Second.
Any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye, thank you. Okay, so no other board member items? All right, let's go to our town administrator items.
I just want to go over the schedule for the remainder of the month for December. So our next meeting will be on the 19th, our next regular meeting. We'll be closed on the December 23rd and December 26th, and we'll also be closed on January 2nd.
Do you want to put that in the email that's going out that reminds people about the giving tree?
Sure.
I just wonder if that might make it easier for residents. All right, anything else, Rhonda?
No.
Jill, anything? No. No, okay.
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
No, public comments.
Comments.
Sorry, public comments.
Any public comments?
I'll make a motion to adjourn. Thank you.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. We'll close this Select Board meeting for tonight. Thank you, everyone, for coming, and thank you all for watching this on CTSB.